Did you see that? Did you see that? You are a witness. My sister committed an offense and almost knocked me out with the lemonade.
I wanted to make her a trans lemonade.
Roberta, you know what you need to do.
Welcome to episode 7, where the PEREZ sisters find themselves in a secret location. And before we go into the subject, thank you for those of you who have responded with your homework. It is fun work to do at home, whether it's in your environment or the temple within. And I've been feeding myself lemonade.
Salute.
Salud.
And salute to you all. Blessings. And thank you for joining us. Lucky number 7.
Thank you for everybody who has subscribed. And, take the hangout outside challenge. That's what we've been trying to do. And I have to say, I'm enjoying the benefits of looking more sun-kissed and feeling like I'm on a vacation. And it's sort of ways that we can sort of start reconnecting, not just with parts of yourself that you may have been feeling disconnected from. Like me, for example, I haven't been feeling like a flower lately.
What type of flower do you want to feel like?
I don't know. What are the flowers that live on the beach? I don't know. Does
Kelp?
that exist?
I don't know. Well, when you say flower, what do you mean? Like you want to be colorful, grounded, beautiful, like a little bit of all of that?
And aromatic. All of the above.
I love that you said aromatic.
All of
That's
the
a good
above.
one. That's definitely, I have to say, one of my self-care, one of my favorite self-care things is I really love to smell yummy to myself. Like I always, you know how we always say, like a broken record, if you know the PEREZ sisters, no matter what environment you meet us in, we're always like, start with yourself first, inward, outward, you know? Love that. I love to smell yummy. It just feels so good. It makes me feel so yummy, like a flower, you know?
Yeah. Have you been exploring with scents lately?
You know, I feel like I've been saying this for a little bit, but I feel like such a new woman in the last year.
Tell us more.
And as I've been feeling like this new woman, I've been purging, you know, getting rid of, for example, clothes and stuff that I just do not wear or use. Like, I think that the older I get, I've been trying to sort of maintain the policy of if I just do not use it, need it, or absolutely love it, like it's time to let it go. Obviously, that's a little easier said than done with some things over others, but I have found myself really purging things that I thought I was gonna hold on to forever, and all of a sudden I'm looking at them like I literally feel no connection to it, whether it's clothes or certain items. It is 100% weird because you look at certain things where you felt emotionally connected, you know, like that you thought, or at least I thought, that it would just be in my life in some form, or and then all of a sudden I'm looking at it and I'm like, I actually feel fantastic releasing it.
Yeah, and then
You know?
you make room for new things. And I wish I would have learned that lesson with all of those years of a decade in storage. It wasn't until we were like, like clean it up now syndrome, where we have to purge storage like now and there's no second thought. The first, second, third layer of purging that we were trying to avoid, we had to face. And as I was going through so many of the things, paying for storage, right, month after month that we were doing. And then I'm like, why was I holding on to this? Why was I holding on to that? And then so that final layer, I was just going through books. Like my sister and I love books, even though I think I like to collect books more than I read them. I love, I just feel like I'm gonna have this time to just sit back and relax and start reading. But I also do want to collect them because some of them I feel like are part of history. And then I'm looking
100%.
at, I think in particular, some of the college books, and I don't have a connection to them anymore.
Mm.
I'm like, was I learning propaganda?
Probably.
Mm.
Do you feel like you would ever really release them, or you
Well,
think
I
you would
did.
keep them?
I
Oh, you
did
did
release some,
officially.
and I have a few more. Afuera. It's time to make room for newness. And I
New
think that
beginnings.
I really feel that all those purgings, I also gave old paintings, old photos, things that I love, but I'm like,
Decor,
decor, like
furniture.
literally I have no space anywhere to put them on the walls. It would just look like a cluttered mess. And there's an aspect of this moment that I'm like, I just want to be as light as possible
That makes
in
sense.
every way.
That makes sense. I agree with that. Just the lightness feeling coupled with, I just want to surround myself with, whether it's people, things, environments that I just genuinely resonate with. And I'm sure that many of you, especially as those that are, as we're getting older, you start to understand that your time, your energy, your your attention is your most important resource. And something happens as you're getting older, you just start to appreciate that reality even more and more. And I think that's what's been feeding my I'm a new woman thing. And of course, I like to be dramatic about it. New
Isn't
woman,
my sister looking so beautiful?
cute. Pero in reality, it's like, yeah, we could joke around, but in reality, like, that's how I feel. Like, it just, I'm in a whole different stage in my life. And a lot of it, I don't know have the answers to. Like, there's moments that I don't know if you guys have ever watched that movie Runaway Bride. There's that one scene with Julia Roberts where the man's like, "Well, how do you want your eggs?" And she didn't know herself, or she was just so different and so changed, or she had been living for so many other things or other people that
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't even answer that simple question. It was almost like, "Well, how do I like my eggs?" So I sort of find myself in this stage, like there's aspects of me that I know very, very well, very clear, and it feels amazing, right? And then there's aspects of me that just feel like I'm being sort of rebirthed in some capacity, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who's that new woman? So honestly, when I say that I'm a new woman, like, there's genuinely parts of me that just feels like I'm trying to figure out what this new woman really feels and really likes, and what she's acclimating to, or resonating with. Kind of like what you said to me, are you exploring new scents? Like, yes, I'm kind of am exploring new scents, and just trying to figure out, like, what's going to be Alex's new style now. Like, I sort of feel like I'm in between with certain areas.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I've been feeling like the time of looking like a protester out in the streets. That's so yesterday.
That was so yesterday. Literally.
You know, uh, it's time for the glamorous era. At least that's my intention, and making it like working with what you have, right? And so I'm excited about like something as simple as a new, refreshingly, amazingly scented body wash,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
It's exciting to try the new things like that.
yeah, and something about like definitely scents of trees are, I think, with like a combination of like maybe a sweet undertone, maybe like an amber. Maybe I have to look into creating this scent.
Maybe.
Because I feel like my body wants to inhale that sort of like tree wisdom with a little bit of almost like a little caramel honey note, maybe tobacco infused.
I love that.
Something, I don't know. It's coming to me as we speak.
You may just have created already, what's calling you right now, or maybe the medicine that you need to work with. It's interesting that you mentioned tree, because for me, and I haven't reached out for it yet. But the one resin that has been calling me specifically lately is Copal. And I mean, Copal is a
Mm.
classic for most of us, like,
Right,
right? Like,
right.
we love and appreciate Copal's medicine for so many reasons. Copal is a tree resin, and you can find Copal. It originates from several parts of the world. I know often we associate it only with Mexico, or that's the one we tend to be most familiar with. And yes, you can. It's very clearing and cleansing
It
and
smells so
healing.
crisp.
Exactly, the crispness is what's really calling me. Um, but lately, that's what's been saying to me, Alex. You need me in your life, you know. Um, that, and for me, in terms of my crystal friends,
Oh yeah.
I've been hanging out with Celestite. That's who I was called to do, and so I just trust, you know, that the medicine they carry or what they symbolize or their frequency is supporting me in some capacity. What
Heaven
about you?
feels to me, when I think about heaven, I feel like it would be walking into a room filled with celestites.
You have always loved celestites. My
That
sister
is
has always loved them.
definitely maybe my number one crystal, and its sibling ish, the angelite. They're my number one and number two.
When we had our shop, and we would go crystal shopping, and she would always, the one crystal that would stop her always dead in her tracks, or she would always gravitate to, was celestite. Like, we could be in the midst of all this, and all of a sudden she would be lost in, you know, this beautiful looking cave like celestite.
Let me tell you why I love celestite.
Tell us.
Um, I think that just looking at it and the color can be an invitation to just be in a serene state because it's so beautiful. It's got a soothing, peaceful color. You could sort of just hold it and breathe with it. And because it's somewhat fragile, you're aware of that, I think. I mean, that's sort of what happens with me. I'm immediately aware that it's somewhat fragile. Like, don't drop it, right? Like, you don't want to drop a baby, for example. You want to be more mindful. So people are very present with babies in a uh, in a perfect world, right? You want to be very present uh, with a baby because it's fragile,
It's a good analogy, yeah.
and so you're going to be paying attention. And you know, parents know the language between them and their baby, or whoever is spending the most time with the child, because you start learning nonverbal cues. I'm not saying a crystal is a child. What I'm saying is that when you hold when you hold a crystal like this one, like if I drop it, it could break into pieces
Easily.
so quickly versus something like a crystal quartz that's kind of a hard mineral. I could still break it, but it's a little bit more, it's a lot harder to do so. So immediately you're drawn into how just to be gentle with it. And also, you know, everything around us is a reminder, and everybody is a reminder for something that we can use as a symbol, as a message. So Celestite reminds me to be gentle with myself, to be gentle and caring for myself, my feelings, and to be mindful with the gentleness of, look, everything's vibration down to thoughts and words. Are you being gentle with your thoughts towards yourself and
That's
others?
a big
Are you
one.
being gentle with your words towards yourself and others?
Woo-hoo-hoo, yes.
Right? In the beginning, there was the word, and we are very careless with the word, especially on social media. And we have
Expression as a whole.
misplaced a lot of friendships, and we've pushed a lot of people away that could have been a good friend. And it feels like, to me, I think maybe to you too, that there's things about our current day to day that's sort of inviting each and every one of us, to whatever degree or level that is for you, to reconnect.
Yeah, I feel like, nature is our biggest teacher, so within, so without, meaning that, we're everything's so connected. What we experience as a human being, we're always witnessing it in some capacity within nature. And, to your point about this feeling of, is it time to start reconnecting? Um, it's like a rhythm. I look at it as a rhythm, a pattern. Like the rhythm has now come back. It's beginning to sort of energize people, where more and more people are beginning to, either realize they miss their friends or their family, or they miss being out in more social environments and settings.
Yeah, doing
Whether
silly
that's
things.
right, right, silliness, dinners, a show, or a class. Like, I mean, how many classes went online, and even if you still had access to them online, it's not the same than when you can be like this in person. So all of a sudden, there's almost like a callback happening. This feeling being energized within all of us, and that is a rhythm. It's calling us all back because we need each other. We need you need yourself, and we need each other as a community. And I look at it as an exciting thing. We've all been through what we have been through the last several years, and yes, many of us may still be still in the residue of that. However, it doesn't change the fact that life goes on no matter what, and there is a rhythm and flow to living and thriving. And I feel like we have to start going back to living and thriving, rather than just pausing and stagnating like we have for so many years. And that means coming out of our shelves again, to ourselves, like we've been saying over in so many ways and examples, but also, like to my sister's point, to each other, this need for one another, missing each other.
Absolutely. When we were at the Black Party the other day, it was a great experience, and it was great to see faces. I mean, just a few days later, we saw some of the same people my sister and I did at different times, and there was an afterglow effect
Yes.
in some of the community members, because they felt rejuvenated, as we did as well, to see some old faces. Like one of the pictures in the video that we posted on Cafecito Break,
Check it out if you haven't, mi gente.
it was that man was the man that taught me how to play guitar. He's responsible for my love of being on the stage.
Get that full circle. And
Full
you hadn't
circle.
even seen him in a long time
Yeah,
either, right?
and
It
I
had been
haven't
a
seen him
minute.
in a couple of years or a year or so. I mean, I have been lucky to see him during the COVID years, and they're still really active. All these people, and they it keeps them young to be so active in the community. They all do different things. I mean, my former teachers, his focus is, he's a definitely very Christian man, right? And I think that goodness, you could see it through just his action and the way to this day, he teaches and I believe manages merengue salsa bands.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and for the
And
community,
impressive.
and they do events, and they raise money for different things and causes, and this is, for us, I guess maybe the universe is saying it's time to reconnect.
Tiempo.
It's tiempo. And there were some people there that, I'm gonna be quite honest, it felt a little uncomfortable. Some conversations felt uncomfortable for me, because I've realized I still have some healing to do over
Okay.
over feeling rejected, and also understanding that most of them will never understand how the silence was a rejection, and they will never own up to it, even when we have certain moments with people who may have had a closer view or a closeness to some of the things that we experience, not us directly, I mean experiences us as a people, like as New Yorkers, for example. And there's a big miss.
But I think you bring up an excellent point. That will happen. It's not if, it will happen. When all of us when time goes by, especially so many years, and especially during a time where so much was shifting and changing, and not all voluntarily, um, nevertheless, we've all experienced something, right? It's been intense. But now here we are, we're stepping back out, right? We're beginning, like we're saying, reconnecting, seeing people. But to your point, that's so important to remind yourself or be mentally prepared that yes, being with people is medicine. Seeing people will fill your heart with so much joy and excitement. But also, what will happen is that you will see folks that will not feel the same. You know, maybe the dynamic you once had may not exist anymore. And that could be for so many reasons. But the reality is, to just keep it a little general, is that you've changed. Whatever you've gone through, however you've shifted, you've changed, and that you may not necessarily resonate in the same way, you know, that you did once. And it's okay. That's normal. That happens. And you have to give yourself permission to just be like, all right, that's okay, but I also don't need to hate anybody.
Yeah,
You know,
keep it simple, keep it
I can
moving.
be right. I can be at peace about it, but acknowledge it, and then you move on. Like, don't let that beat you down, and also don't let it, um, like, take away your motivation to want to be out and about and
Or ruin your
socialize.
moment.
Exactly.
And let me tell you, the way this has always been like a one-on-one thing with me. My sister knows this. People who are in my inner circle know this. There are topics that I have avoided like the plague, but somehow or the other, life wants to bring them right to my face. And when that happens, I know something is saying, my dear,
It's time.
no longer can you hide or resist. You're gonna have to look at this. I think that the universe is asking us to wrap up.
Yep, the universe is saying, we want you to live and thrive. Mira, and it starts in simple ways. And, you know, that brings us to this week's homework.
Reconnect with something or someone you haven't reconnected with.
That's right. And keep it simple. Like my sister was saying, simple.
Keep
You
it
know,
simple, keep it moving.
who haven't you spoken to, for example, in months or years? Give them a little call. Say, hey, how
Yeah.
are you? Not a text, not an email, not a FB, an actual physical call where they can hear your voice and just say hi.
Yeah.
Check them out. See how you're feeling. See how you feel.
Reconnection time. And we're gonna do the homework too. We have lots of reportings to do for next week. We
Sure
love
do.
you. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you, and thank you so much for being here with the PEREZ Sisters of Crystal Sage Wisdom. Please don't forget to subscribe, like,
and
comment,
comment.
and we also like donations, big, tiny, small. Visit our links. Go crazy subscribing, and thank you once again.
Thank you, and we will see you next week. Woo. God bless.